Somewhere at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, where there is a city where everyone is happy, where the sun always shines, where a sponge fries burgers and calls it the best job in the world. This is Bikini Bottom, and for 25 years, it has been the happiest place in the ocean. Krabby Patties are always fresh, the Krusty Krab is always open, and nothing ever truly goes wrong. Patrick sleeps under a rock, Sandy does karate, Squidward plays clarinet to nobody, and everything is fine. But wait, look a little closer, because something about Bikini Bottom has never made sense, and the longer you look, the darker it gets. Bikini Bottom is set at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the real Pacific Ocean, where the pressure crushes steel, where sunlight never reaches, where nothing should be alive. At the depth where Bikini Bottom sits, the water pressure is over 1,000 times what we feel on land. A submarine would be crushed, flat in seconds. So how does SpongeBob exist? How does he breathe? How does he fry food underwater? How is there fire underwater? The answer most people give is, it's just a cartoon. Don't overthink it. But what if that answer is wrong? Because Bikini Bottom is named after a real place, right? Bikini Atoll, a small island in the Pacific Ocean. And what happened there is one of the darkest stories in human history. Between 1946 and 1958, the United States detonated 23 nuclear bombs at Bikini Atoll. 23, the island was obliterated. The ocean floor poisoned forever. 23 nuclear detonations, the fish that survived, mutated the coral, dead, the water, radioactive for generations. And SpongeBob, this happy, innocent, laughing sponge, lives directly on top of it. The cheerful cartoon built on a nuclear graveyard. Now, before you close this video and go rewatch episodes, we're going to stay with me because it gets deeper, much deeper. Here's the philosophical question this video is really asking. Not just, where is Bikini Bottom, but what is Bikini Bottom? Is Bikini Bottom a real thriving city, or is it something else entirely? A world that was destroyed and somehow kept going anyway. Look at SpongeBob himself. He is a sponge who laughs, who feels pain, who cries, who has a best friend, who is afraid of the dark. A sponge with the full emotional range of a human being. One theory, and it is dark, is that the nuclear testing mutated the marine life of Bikini Atoll. That SpongeBob and his friends are not natural. They are the result of radiation exposure over generations. A talking sponge, a sentient starfish, a squirrel living underwater in an air dome, a crab who runs a restaurant. None of this is natural. All of it could be explained by mutation. But here's the thing, they are happy. Genuinely, completely, overwhelmingly happy, which raises an even stranger question. Is it possible to live a joyful life in a world that is quietly falling apart underneath you without knowing it, without choosing to know it? Because the real ocean, the one Bikini Bottom sits inside of, is dying. 8 million tons of plastic enter it every year. Coral reefs are bleaching. Species are going extinct at a rate not seen since the dinosaurs. 8 million tons every single year. That is the weight of 40,000 blue whales that were dumped into the ocean annually. And SpongeBob, he never mentions it. He never sees it. He skips to work every morning as if the ocean around him is perfectly clean and perfectly safe. 50% of the world's coral reefs have died since 1950. The Great Barrier Reef has lost half its coral in 30 years. The underwater world that SpongeBob represents is vanishing in real life. And if you watch the show carefully, something shifts. The early seasons are bright, warm, full of life. The later seasons get darker, stranger, more desperate, as if the show itself is reflecting something it cannot name. Mr. Krabs cares only about money. He exploits SpongeBob. He pollutes without a second thought. He is, in many ways, a perfect symbol of the forces that are actually destroying the ocean. Plankton spends his entire life trying to steal a burger recipe. Not to eat, not to survive, just to win. An entire existence consumed by a meaningless competition. Squidward is perhaps the most honest character in the show. He is miserable, talented, and completely unrecognized. Surrounded by people who never understand him, he is the character who sees the truth and suffers for it. But SpongeBob's house and the famous pineapple has its own dark symbolism. A pineapple does not grow on the ocean floor. It fell there from somewhere above, from a world that no longer cares about this one. Someone on the surface ate a pineapple, right? And threw the husk into the ocean. And SpongeBob built his home inside the leftovers. He is living inside someone else's trash and calling it paradise. And perhaps that is the most human thing about SpongeBob. He makes the best of what he has. He finds joy in a world that should not support it. He loves, deeply and completely, a place that is slowly dying around him. Gary the snail meows like a cat. SpongeBob talks to him like a person. In a world full of noise and chaos, SpongeBob finds something worth loving in the smallest, quietest corner of his life. They watch the light filter down from the surface above. They do not know what is up there. They do not know what is happening to their world. They just watch the light and feel grateful for it. But something is coming, something that was always coming. And in Act 2, we are going to look directly at the evidence that Bikini Bottom is not thriving. It is surviving, and barely. Before we go darker, one important thing. SpongeBob was created by Steven Hillenburg, a marine biologist who loved the ocean more than almost anything. He did not create this show to be dark. He created it as a love letter to the sea. He built Bikini Bottom because he wanted to show us what the ocean could be, what it should be, and maybe what we are in the process of losing forever. Welcome to Act 2. We are going to look at the evidence, not theories, evidence, clues hiding in plain sight inside the show itself and in the real ocean it sits inside of. First clue, in 25 years of episodes, there's almost no mention of other cities, other communities, other worlds. Bikini Bottom exists in near total isolation, like a bubble or a last remaining colony. Second clue, the background population of Bikini Bottom quietly shrinks across the seasons. Fewer background fish, fewer crowds. The city feels emptier, episode by episode, and almost nobody notices. In the real ocean, a third of all fish species are now threatened with extinction. Overfishing, pollution, warming waters. The ocean is losing its population too, just much faster and much more permanently. Third clue, the Krusty Krab has sold the same burger for 25 years. No new items, no competition winning, no evolution, an economy completely frozen in time. Like a world that stopped developing the moment something went catastrophically wrong. The technology in Bikini Bottom never advances. They drive boat cars from the 1950s. They use phones that look 40 years old. Progress simply stopped, as if the world hit a wall and never recovered. Sandy Cheeks is from Texas. She lives underwater in an air dome wearing a suit at all times. She is the only character who remembers the world above. She is the only one who knows what they are missing, and she stays anyway. Her tree dome contains the last living tree in Bikini Bottom's world. One tree, enclosed in glass, kept alive artificially in the middle of an ocean that cannot support it. This is not subtle. This is a metaphor screaming at us. Since 1990, the world has lost 420 million hectares of forest. We are cutting down trees faster than they can grow back. Sandy's single tree in a dome is not a joke. It is a warning. Jellyfish Fields, the place where SpongeBob is most himself. Running free, catching jellyfish with a net, laughing with Patrick. This is his version of a park, of nature, of escape. But here's the dark twist. In the real ocean, jellyfish are thriving. Because as the ocean warms and other species die, jellyfish explode in population. They are one of the few things that survive the damage we are causing. They thrive in a dying ocean. SpongeBob runs through the jellyfish with pure joy, but look at what surrounds him. Empty ocean, dead edges, a shrinking patch of color in an expanding darkness. His happiness is real, and his world is still dying. The ocean has absorbed 90% of the excess heat from climate change. It is warming at a rate faster than any time in recorded history. The water that SpongeBob swims through is getting warmer every year, and warmer water kills. Coral bleaching happens when water gets too warm. The coral expels the algae living in it, turns white, and slowly starves to death. It looks like a ghost, like a reef that is still there, but already gone. Look carefully at Bikini Bottom itself. In the later seasons, the buildings look older, sadder, the color's slightly duller, the city's not growing. It is wearing down slowly, quietly, episode by episode. Fans of the show have documented this for years. The early SpongeBob is optimistic, warm, full of childlike wonder. The later SpongeBob episodes deal with anxiety, loneliness, existential dread. The character did not change, the world around him did. SpongeBob cries more in later seasons, significantly more. He still laughs, but the crying comes easier, more often, as if something beneath the surface of his happiness is slowly eroding. Patrick lives under a rock, literally. He has no job, no goals, no worries. He sleeps through everything. And some philosophers would argue that Patrick is not lazy. Patrick has simply opted out of a world he unconsciously knows is broken. In the real ocean, fish are eating plastic. Microplastics have been found in the deepest trenches on Earth, in the Arctic. In rainwater, in human blood, the plastic we throw away does not go away. It goes into everything. The secret formula of the Krabby Patty, the most guarded secret in Bikini Bottom. What if the reason it tastes so good is because nobody has thought too hard about what is actually in it? Mr. Krabs has dumped waste in the ocean multiple times across the show, sold unsafe food, exploited his workers, destroyed the environment for profit, and in 25 years has faced zero lasting consequences. Because that is also the story of the real ocean. Corporations have dumped billions of tons of waste into the sea, paid small fines, and continued. Mr. Krabs is not just a cartoon villain, he is a recognizable portrait. SpongeBob's relentless optimism starts to look different when you see it this way. Not as innocence, but as resilience. The smile of someone who has chosen, consciously or not, to keep going despite everything. Dead zones, areas of ocean so depleted of oxygen that nothing can live in them. There are now over 500 dead zones in the world's oceans, growing every year, spreading like a slow, invisible plague. Imagine Bikini Bottom as a pocket of life, a tiny, improbable bubble of color and joy, surrounded on all sides by ocean that is slowly dying. The darkness is not coming. It has been there the whole time, closing in. SpongeBob has the same morning every day, wakes up, feeds Gary, goes to work, makes burgers, goes home, wakes up. The routine never breaks. And maybe the routine is the only thing keeping him sane. Psychologists have long studied how routine functions as a coping mechanism in unstable environments. When the world feels uncertain, the predictable small rituals become anchors. SpongeBob's routine is not boring. It is protective. Of all his relationships, the one with Gary is the most consistent, the most tender. Gary never leaves, Gary never judges, Gary meows, and SpongeBob listens. In a dying world, small love is not small at all. Below Bikini Bottom, or in the show, there is the trench, a place of pure horror, ancient creatures, darkness so complete it has its own gravity. The characters avoid it, never speak of it. It is the thing underneath the happiness that nobody names. Every society has a trench. Something underneath, something real and terrible that everyone has unconsciously agreed not to look at. Climate change, species extinction, ocean death. The trench is down there. It has always been down there. But in rare moments, SpongeBob looks toward it, the episode where he faces the dark, where he confronts fear, where he asks, what is really down there? These are the most honest episodes in the entire show. Ocean acidification. The ocean absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. As CO2 rises, the ocean becomes more acidic. Shells dissolve, reefs collapse. The chemistry of the sea is changing at a rate that living things can't adapt to fast enough. SpongeBob collects things, shells, nets, friends, memories. In an acidifying ocean, the shells dissolve. The things he holds onto most tightly are the first things to go. What do you collect when the world stops making the things you love? There is a fan theory that the secret ingredient in the Krabby Patty is love. SpongeBob makes them with complete dedication, with joy. And maybe that is the only thing that cannot be polluted, cannot be acidified, cannot be taken by a bankruptcy court or a nuclear bomb. And here's the thing about the real ocean. Despite everything we have done to it, it is still the most beautiful, most complex, most mysterious place on this planet. It is still worth fighting for. It is still worth loving. SpongeBob has never seen the surface. He was born on the ocean floor. He lives his entire life looking up at a world he cannot reach. And yet, he does not seem bitter about it. He just looks up and wonders. So here is what we know. Bikini Bottom's population is shrinking. Its technology is frozen. Its economy never evolves. The darkness surrounds it on all sides. The trench waits below, and the real ocean it sits inside of is in genuine crisis. The evidence is everywhere. And yet, Despite all of it, SpongeBob smiles. Not because he is ignorant, not because he is broken, but because smiling in a world that gives you every reason not to might be the most radical, the most defiant, the most human thing you can possibly do. Act 3, we go deeper. Does SpongeBob know his world is dying? He has nightmares, then wakes up, then smiles anyway. Squidward sees the truth. That's why he suffers. SpongeBob chooses joy every day. That is the point. We are all SpongeBob, living in our own Bikini Bottom. Steven Hillenburg built this world from love for the ocean. In a dying world, just being present is enough. The real ocean, like SpongeBob, refuses to stop. He gets up, he shows up again, that is enough. The world is dark, he keeps the light on anyway. Bikini Bottom is not fantasy, it is a mirror. Is it dying? Yes. Is it worth saving? Also yes. Unlike SpongeBob, we can actually do something about it. A small flame in a dark ocean still burning. Every kid who loved this show carries the ocean now. That laugh says, I am here. I am not giving up. Tomorrow he skips to work, same smile, same world, worth it. A dying world is still a world worth fighting for. Are you ready? I'm ready. If this hit different, subscribe.